Have you ever dared to picture a world devoid of electricity? A question that, while unsettling, is undeniably fascinating. We are so accustomed to the hum of the modern world, the buzz of our devices, the glow from our screens, that we often overlook the silent, unseen force that powers it all. Yes, electricity, the lifeblood of our civilization, the energy that fuels our progress and comforts. We wake up to the sound of an electric alarm clock, make our morning coffee with an electric kettle, and check our emails on our electric-powered devices. We travel in vehicles powered by electricity, work in buildings lit by electricity, and unwind in the evenings in homes warmed, cooled, and entertained by electricity. We're surrounded by it, reliant on it, and yet we rarely pause to consider its significance. But what if one day we woke up to a world shorn of this invisible, omnipresent energy? A world where the hum of the modern world is replaced by silence, the glow of our screens by darkness. Imagine our cities, those dazzling marvels of human ingenuity, stripped of their electric glow, their towering skyscrapers standing dark and silent against the night sky. Think about our homes, the heart of our everyday lives, suddenly turned cold and lifeless, the appliances and devices we rely on rendered useless, our routines, our habits, our comforts, all disrupted in the absence of electricity. And it's not just about comfort. Electricity powers our hospitals, our schools, our factories. It fuels our economies, drives our scientific advancements, and supports our social structures. Its absence wouldn't just plunge our world into darkness, it would halt our progress, disrupt our lives, and challenge our very survival. Yet, as daunting as this scenario might be, it's an intriguing thought experiment, a glimpse into a world that, while unimaginable to us, was the reality for our ancestors for thousands of years. Imagine waking up tomorrow and finding that electricity has vanished. A chilling thought, isn't it? And yet, it's an exploration that's worth embarking on, a journey into the heart of our electrified world and what it might look like without it. How would you commute to work or school in a world without electricity? Let's visualize this for a moment. In a world devoid of electricity, the once bustling highways would turn into silent, lifeless concrete ribbons, as cars, the predominant mode of transportation in our time, would cease to function. Gas stations that fuel these metal beasts would be rendered obsolete, and the electric trains that carry thousands every day would come to an eerie halt, their tracks cold and abandoned. The roar of jet engines would be a distant memory, as planes, the embodiment of human achievement, would be grounded indefinitely. But would this mean the end of transportation? Not necessarily. The power cut might just be the push we need to revisit some of the simpler, more sustainable forms of transportation. Imagine a world where the clip-clop of horse hooves and the whir of bicycle wheels replace the drone of engines. Horse-drawn carriages, once a symbol of antiquity, could make a comeback, turning our streets into scenes straight out of a period drama. Bicycles, too, might become more than just a leisure activity or a fitness routine. They may very well become our primary means of getting around, transforming our cities into sprawling bike-friendly metropolises. And let's not forget the humble power of our own two legs. Walking, a form of transportation that has been with us since the dawn of mankind, would likely take on a renewed importance. For longer distances, we might see a return to wind-powered sailing ships, their sails billowing in the breeze as they traverse the oceans, reminiscent of a bygone era. Hot air balloons, powered by the simple principle of hot air rising, might even find a place in our transportation repertoire. In this electricity-less world, transportation would undoubtedly be slower, more deliberate. It would be a world where the journey truly matters more than the destination. We'd have more time to appreciate the world around us, to connect with each other and with nature. Transportation would be a whole different game, wouldn't it? Could you imagine a life without mobile phones, internet, or even radio? Let's take a leap back in time to the dark ages, where communication was a whole different ballgame. In a world without electricity, we'd have to bid adieu to our beloved devices that keep us connected. No more instant messages, no more video calls halfway across the globe, and certainly no more social media updates. The convenience of digital communication that we take for granted today would be a distant memory. Instead, we'd return to traditional methods of communication. Remember letter writing? It wasn't just an old-school charm, but a necessity in the dark ages. Letters would once again become our primary mode of long-distance communication, sealing your thoughts in an envelope, entrusting it to a courier, and then waiting patiently for a reply. It's a far cry from the instant gratification of today's digital communications, isn't it? And it's not just letters. Think about face-to-face conversations. In the absence of digital distractions, we might rediscover the art of conversation, the joy of personal connection. We would need to relearn the skill of reading body language, of understanding the nuances in tone and expression that get lost in a text message. But it's not all rosy. With the absence of modern communication tools, the speed of information exchange would drastically slow down. News would travel at the speed of a horse or the speed of the wind. Imagine a world where news from another country arrives weeks or even months late. A world where critical information could be delayed, causing confusion or even chaos. So, while the return to traditional methods of communication might seem romantic and appealing, it would also pose significant challenges. It's a stark reminder of how electricity has revolutionized our ability to connect, to share ideas, and to understand each other. Silence would truly be golden in a world without electricity. The hush of a world without electronic beeps and pings might be peaceful, but it would also be a world where communication is slower, more deliberate, and perhaps more meaningful. How would hospitals function without electricity? Imagine a world where the hum of medical machinery is replaced by an eerie silence. This is a reality we'd face in a world without power. Healthcare, as we know it, relies heavily on electricity. The life-saving machines that monitor heartbeats, administer drugs, and support breathing all require power. Without it, the functionality of these machines would be compromised, posing a significant risk to patient care. Even the simple task of maintaining a sterile environment would become an uphill task. No electricity means no hot water, making it challenging to sterilize medical equipment. The lack of refrigeration could also lead to the spoilage of temperature-sensitive drugs and vaccines, leaving us defenseless against diseases. Research, a cornerstone of modern healthcare, would also take a hit. Laboratories that work tirelessly to develop new treatments and vaccines would be left in the dark, both literally and metaphorically. Without power, our ability to combat diseases and develop new medical technologies would be severely compromised. But what if we could find a way around these challenges? In a world without electricity, we would need to revert to more primitive methods of healthcare. We'd have to rely on manual methods of patient care, like hand-pumped respirators and manual blood pressure monitors. Sterilization could be achieved through boiling or chemical methods, and medicines could be preserved using traditional methods like salting or drying. In terms of research, we'd have to adopt more rudimentary techniques. Without advanced laboratory equipment, we'd have to rely on observational studies and natural experiments. It would be slower, yes, but not impossible. In a world without electricity, the face of healthcare would undoubtedly change. It would be harder, slower, and fraught with challenges. But it's important to remember that humans have survived and thrived in a world without electricity before. With resourcefulness and resilience, we could do it again. Healthcare would face an uphill battle without the power to support its operations. But with determination and innovation, we could find ways to provide care even in the darkest of times. Would you be able to enjoy your favorite shows or music without electricity? Imagine a world where the glow of screens and the hum of speakers are replaced by flickering candlelight and the strumming of a guitar. That's right. We're talking about entertainment in a world without electricity. Without the convenience of flipping a switch or pressing a button, we would need to drastically change the way we entertain ourselves. An electrifying match of football viewed on a high-definition screen would no longer be an option. Streaming the latest chart-topping hits or binge-watching your favorite series would be a thing of the past. In this electricity-free world, entertainment would become more personal, intimate, and interactive. The art of storytelling, a tradition as old as humanity itself, would once again take center stage. Imagine huddled families and communities hanging on to every word of a thrilling tale, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of a campfire. The magic of stories shared orally has a charm that no high-definition screen can replicate. Board games, too, would see a resurgence. The simple joy of a family gathered around a Monopoly board or a group of friends engrossed in a game of chess would replace the solitary experience of video games. The laughter, the competition, the camaraderie, these are the experiences that truly entertain and engage us. Live performances would also become a primary source of entertainment. The raw energy of a street play, the melodious strains of a live orchestra, or the captivating rhythm of a dance performance. These experiences, unmediated by screens or speakers, would be the new normal. The lack of electricity might even spark a new wave of creativity. The constraints could lead to innovative forms of entertainment, ones that we can't even imagine today. So while the absence of electricity would certainly change our entertainment habits, it wouldn't necessarily eliminate enjoyment. We would simply return to more traditional, communal forms of entertainment. Entertainment would surely take a step back in time, wouldn't it? What would it take to survive in a world without electricity? In this electrifying thought experiment, let's delve into the rudimentary survival strategies that would become paramount in a world without power. Picture this: our modern conveniences stripped away, plunging us back into an age where ingenuity and adaptability become our greatest allies. Food storage, a concept we often take for granted in our refrigerated world, would suddenly become a critical concern. Our ancestors' knowledge of preserving food through techniques such as canning, smoking, and drying would be thrust back into relevance. The art of pickling, once a niche hobby, could become a lifesaver, extending the shelf life of fruits and vegetables and adding a zing to our diet in the process. Then we move on to heating. In a world without electricity, the simple act of staying warm could become a challenge. Fire would reclaim its throne as humanity's best friend. We would need to relearn the lost art of building and maintaining a fire, not just for warmth, but also for cooking and boiling water. The hearth would once again become the heart of the home. Lighting, too, would become a precious commodity. The sun would dictate our daily routines, with daylight hours becoming more valuable than gold. Ingenious solutions like oil lamps and candles would replace our beloved LEDs. And let's not forget the starlight and the moon, our natural nightlights, which would regain their luminary significance. In this environment, adaptability and resourcefulness would be the keys to survival. We would need to relearn skills long forgotten and develop new ones to navigate this power-free world. It would be a testament to our resilience, our ability to adapt and overcome, that would see us through. So, in this potential future where the plug is pulled on power, it's not just about surviving. It's about adapting and evolving, about learning to thrive in a world that's both old and new. Survival would become an art in a world devoid of power. What have we learned from our journey into a world without electricity? As we've traveled through this darkened realm, we've seen a starkly different existence. One that, in all its rawness and simplicity, forces us to reassess the comforts we've taken for granted. Remember the hustle and bustle of transportation? Without electricity, our roads and skies would fall silent. Cars, planes, trains, all immobilized. Our commutes would revert back to the age of horse-drawn carriages and sailboats, slowing our pace of life to a crawl. Even our communication would be stripped down to its bare essentials. No more instant messages or video calls. We'd be back to handwritten letters and face-to-face conversations. The world would shrink and the distance between us would once again hold meaning. Our healthcare, too, would undergo a dramatic transformation. Life-saving machines and advanced diagnostics would be relics of a bygone era. Doctors would have to rely on basic tools and their own intuition, turning the clock back on medical progress by centuries. And what of entertainment? The screens that keep us company would go dark. No more binge-watching, no more video games. We'd be left with books, board games, and the stars in the sky. We'd rediscover the joy of storytelling by the fireside, of songs sung together, of simple pleasures that have been overshadowed by the glare of our screens. Survival in a world without electricity would be an uphill struggle, a test of our resourcefulness and resilience. We'd have to relearn old skills like farming and preserving food, and rediscover the value of community and cooperation. In summarizing this powerless world, we've glimpsed a reality that's both daunting and strangely liberating. It's a world of challenges, yes, but also of possibilities. A world that reminds us of the incredible power we wield and the heavy responsibility that comes with it. In the end, a world without electricity is a world that's unimaginably different from the one we know today.